Hello. Oh shit. Well, actually, since I'm here, let me just do this. 5 stars. I'll keep it. I could use it. Um, what's up, guys? So today I wanted to do a video about another sort of free-to-play kind of thing. So last night I was working on an account that's pretty much free to play. Like all of it is free to play, and I noticed that on his champion pool, he didn't have some of the uh, most easily accessible champions that you could get just from the campaign. He had the I fixed his arena team. I tried to get past level 13 of Dragon, Ice Golem. I succeeded in that. I tried to get past Spider, but he just didn't have the champions for it. And then I fixed his arena team. I tweaked it a little bit. Now the good thing was that he had Gorgorab, which is a very popular and very useful champion to have because he's got this. Well, one of the reasons is because he's got this the speed in arena battles by 23%, and then he's got this fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% and places an increased attack. So he had two of this guy, so I was able to use him for this arena team. But I noticed he didn't have some of the most farmable rares or just champions in general that you could get from the campaign. So today I want to give you the which ones, in my opinion, are the top 5 most useful champions. So from the least useful to the most useful champion that you could have on your account that you could just farm in the campaign right now. So I'm going to take you to the first one right now. Okay, so the first one we have is Sorceress. She's an undead hordes. You pretty much, I think, if you just started playing the game, you probably got her by now. She's one of like the rewards you kind of get, and I think she's out of the 5 that I'm going to mention. I think she's the least useful. But when I say least useful, I don't mean that she's not useful, or I don't mean that she's like bad or anything like that. She's certainly very good. I like her skills are pretty decent. 30% chance of placing a 15% decrease speed for 2 turns. That's pretty nice, especially if you're early in the game. Has a 20% chance of placing an extra hit, so this is kind of nice. It could be 3 hits if the chance procs is 30% if you book it up. And then attacks 3 times. This is the most useful part of her kit. Attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 30% chance. You can't book it any higher than that. 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns. So that's pretty useful, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. I mean, it's not. It could if it was 3, it'd be even better, but um, way better actually. But it can be useful for your account. She's definitely one of those champions that you could farm, and she could help you right away, especially with the boss, right? Because she's got that attacks 3 times at random, so each hit has a 30% chance. So that's great. It could work for the boss. So now I'll take you to the second one. Okay, so number 4, in my opinion, now you could argue this, like these 5 champions, you could kind of argue. I mean, maybe not with the last one, but number 4, in my opinion, is Spirit Host. So Spirit Host has a really useful kit, especially for an early game player. The aura is awesome, right? Increases ally speed in all battles by 10%. That's big. That can be big. If you don't have enough speed, you just need a little bit more speed to progress in a dungeon or something. She can help you with that because it's in all battles. She can help you everywhere. And this is, in my opinion, this is the most useful part of her kit. Is this removes all debuffs on all allies, uh, places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 1 turn. It's on a 5-turn cooldown. It's not that great, but it is amazing when you get to do it. So if she happens to go, if you save it until the enemy team goes, if you're just not faster than them, or if you're having a little trouble in a dungeon and they debuff the crap out of your team, you can use her ability and then boom. I mean, unless she's like asleep or stunned, which would suck, but it can be useful. It will remove all the buffs from everybody. It will block all the buffs, especially if the other team is faster than yours. Then they'll go again probably, and then any buff that they could place will be instantly blocked. It's useful, but because it's on 1 turn, because she places it for 1 turn, it becomes less useful because then she goes and then your team goes and then that's it. You had your block buffs buff or block debuffs buff, but it's gone. And then she also has this places increase 50% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. That's pretty cool. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. If it was a 2-turn cooldown, it would be fucking epic. And I do like her A1. Attacks one enemy, place it heals. Sorry, heals 50% of the damage inflicted. So that's kind of nice. If you have her hit hard, it would be nice. But you're not gonna have this champion hit hard. So I feel like the usefulness of her abilities is kind of it's just not it's not too useful, although it can be useful. So that's why I would take my time to farm this lady just because her books, they're not too many. 4 here, 5, 6. She only takes 6 books. You need only like 7 of her, right? Because the other ones would be used for books, and then that's it. You got a spirit host, and so yeah, that's number 4. I'm gonna take you to number 3 now. Okay, so at number 3, now these next 3, so 3, 2, and 1, they can be. You could debate that each of them could be on the number 1 spot, but I do have, I think, pretty good reasons why the next 2 are better than this guy. But this guy is actually amazing. If you take a look at his reviews, he's got really good reviews, except for Spider, because he doesn't have an AOE, he doesn't have poisons, and he doesn't have multi hits. So right? He doesn't? Yeah, he doesn't have multi-hit. So he brings some utility, especially because of this aura, right? The aura is actually pretty amazing for, especially for dungeons and even arena if you wanted to use him in arena. So increases allied defense in all battles by 17%. That can be huge too. Just like the speed aura, this can be huge. It keeps your team alive a little bit longer, so that'd be cool. He does have this. It's on a 5-turn cooldown if you book it. Places 60% increased defense buff and a counterattack buff on this champion for 3 turns. So that's pretty cool. I mean, 3-turn counterattack and increased defense, and he's a defense-based champion, kind of. I mean, his first attack, it's an attack-based attack. This one is based on attack and defense. I don't know why they do that shit, but the more attack and the more defense you have, the stronger this is going to be. But it's really, for me, it's about this skill. Attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meter by 20%. So it doesn't say it has a chance to decrease turn meter, it just says it decreases it. So I guess it's like 100% chance to do this first part, and then 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed. So if you don't know what speed is, you can kind of look this up on your own. But basically, it's like it reduces the speed at which the turn meter rises on the enemy. So it can be super useful. I mean, 15%, it can be big. It can make you win just by that little bit, or by a lot. But the decreased turn meter, this is the most important part of his skills, I think. The only issue I have with him is that it takes so many of him to be able to book him up, right? What is this? 5? It's like 12 books. Yeah, so it takes 13 of him that you need to farm to get all of this booked up for just one of them. So again, he's a very useful champion. I think he would definitely be a vital, maybe for if you don't have someone like an apothecary who can be super useful. He's got that aura in dungeons, I think. Yeah, so this, and then obviously he's not going to be as good as, this guy is not going to be as good as your starter champion, but again, this is someone that I would definitely look into farming. I would totally take my time to farm this guy. I'm going to take you to number 2, Diabolist. So number 2, I have number 2 as Diabolist because Diabolist is actually, like, this was what I was thinking about with the free-to-play account that I was doing yesterday. So she's got this amazing, other than being kind of hot, she's got this really useful kit. Now, there's other champions, and I'll talk about the other champions right now that have a more useful abilities, that have these 2 abilities mixed in one. But if you didn't have, again, Apothecary or like Gorgorev, he didn't have Gorgorev, I would have like farmed for her if I were him, because she's got this, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, decreases the turn meter of all allies by 15%. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. This is like a mini version of the Energize skill that, what's her name has? Lisandra. Lisandra has a similar skill. It's way better. Okay, this one is way better. Then again, she is a legendary, and this is what it is. It places 30% increased speed. Okay, and then fills the turn meters by 30% of all allies and decreases the turn meters by 30. So it's not only is it double the other one, but it's also includes this increased speed ability. So Lisandra has like a mix of Apothecary, which I'll show you in a sec, and Diabolist, right? But it's like a bigger version of those two champions. And this is Apothecary. I was talking to you about him. He's got this Boon of Speed ability. Places 30% increased speed. Great. And then fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. What he doesn't have is the decreased turn meter of all enemies at the same time that he fills. So, but she can be, if you didn't have those champions I just mentioned, like the legendary Lisandra or the rare Apothecary, this champion that you can just farm in the game, and she doesn't even need that many of her. Okay, what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you just need 11 of her. So I mean, it is like Executioner kind of, but with him you need 13. With her, she's got more usefulness. Now, what I like about this skill right here, the increased speed that she has, separate from the turn meter boost, is that it's an AoE. So if you have her hit really hard, if you make her to hit hard, which you probably wouldn't do, but because she's got an AoE, you might want to think about it. You could put like crit rate, crit damage gauntlets on her, maybe even an attack chest, just so that she could do an attack chest with like HP, defense substats or something, so that she doesn't get targeted. But this can be an AoE and then increases speed on all allies. So it would be really cool. You could do this and then she could go right into this afterwards. Or you could do this one first and then do this one after. Who knows? However you'd want to do it. She's got so... And then her base speed is 110. You could make her faster. This is higher than Apothecary's. Okay, Apothecary's base speed I think is 107. And the only reason I mention Apothecary is because he's he's a superior champion to her, but he's not as fast as her at the base speed. Okay, he's got 106, she's got 110. So you could easily get her to 220, 250, maybe 300 speed, and she would always go first. She could fill up your turn meter, she could boost you up, and then she's got this sleep ability. It's in a 20% chance, but I mean, nobody's gonna fucking use that. I don't know. I mean, it's worked for me when I've used her on my account, but you know, you have better champions for that later on in the game. So then I'm going to take you to my number 1, and then after that I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. Okay, just champions that I thought could be useful, but they didn't make the cut for me because they just weren't as useful as these other ones I just mentioned. So let me take you there. Alright, so she's a redhead, she's busty, and she barely wears anything, and I fucking love it. So this is War Maiden. Okay, she is easily, in my opinion, the most useful champion that you could farm in the game. It's not easy to farm her. I'll tell you that, because when I tried farming for her, it took me forever to get as many as I needed to be able to book everything up. You really only need enough for this. If you can just book this up, it would be perfect. Give her a ton of accuracy, give her a ton of speed. This books up to 100% chance to decrease defense, the 60% decreased defense on all enemies for 2 turns. That's amazing. You're going to be using her all the way. Even I use her now. Like, I mean, I used to use her more, but then I eventually got Zargala, who is the same affinity, and she's got this, you know, it's on a 4-turn cooldown, but she attacks all enemies, and she's got this, this one. If she kills an enemy with this one, it activates this one, even if it's on a cooldown. So she's, in my opinion, just more useful than War Maiden after a while. But where is she? War Maiden is still, like, especially if you're early in the game, you can easily farm her from the campaign. And if you're curious as to where she is actually here. She's in the Deadlands, okay? Level 9 of the campaign. You can just farm her. And now I'm going to give you some honorable mentions, champions that I thought were okay, but that you could farm in the game, and that would probably help your account if you're early on. But for me, they just, in my opinion, they just weren't that useful. If you've been playing for like 2 or 3 months, you probably wouldn't want to waste your time farming these, but I'll show you those right now. So I'll start with the uncommon. This guy, Sorceress. So I actually like this guy a lot. He's pretty cool. because both of his abilities are AoEs, okay? So this is an AoE. If you make him hit hard, he can hit pretty hard if you build him enough like that. I mean, it's hard to build him just because he's an uncommon. It'd be, I don't think it's wise to waste your resources to make him into a 6-star, but if you're early in the game, he's definitely useful, especially for any dungeon that's like a force, or any campaign area that's like a force affinity. People use him in Spider's Den early on because of, like, again, he's gotten this AoE. Both of them are AoEs. I thought about using him maybe like in Fire Knight. Does he have good ratings in that? He's got really poor ratings everywhere, even in Fire Knight. But I thought about Fire Knight because he hits twice, and it's a 10% chance of placing a 50% heal reduction. Places a 50% heal reduction debuff if the target's current HP is less or equal to 40%. He probably won't really help you too much in the Fire Knight or anything like that, but I mean, if he lands that, he lands that. But it's more about just the fact that he has two AoEs and can just put damage on the enemy team if you're struggling with, like, normal or hard campaign or something. And he's Spirit, so any like force affinity matchup, he won't be targeted, and he might be pretty good. So that's my first honorable mention, and then let me show you my second honorable mention. So this is my second honorable mention. So this is kind of the same thing. I'll show you the least useful to the most useful of the honorable mention. So I guess you could call this a top 10 farmable champions. But this guy, Greybeard, you do face him, I think, in probably the third level of the campaign or something. He's got this provoke, 50% chance to provoke for one turn. It books up to 60, 70, so that's pretty cool. An AoE freeze. Now, he's one of the few champions in the entire game that has an AoE freeze. The problem with this one, it's only a 40% chance? So, yeah, it's a 40% chance. And thing is, when an enemy has freeze, any enemy with freeze, the damage against them is actually a little bit less than if they had stun or sleep. So, well, sleep is probably the most useless one, because if they take damage on a sleep debuff, they wake up. But the stun is the most useful because they receive 100% of the damage, I think. Yeah. But with freeze, they receive only a portion of that. I don't remember exactly how much it is. I should probably have looked it up before this, but I didn't. And then the most useful part of his kit, in my opinion, is just this for the dungeons. Increases allied defense in dungeons by 30%. So that's pretty cool. It's higher than Executioner's. Executioner's, I think, is 17%. This guy's is 30. He is magic affinity, so the thing is, your starter champion is already going to be magic affinity, so you might not need this guy. Your starter champ might be way stronger than him already without, with the HP aura that they already come with. So I don't know. I thought he was okay. I personally wouldn't waste my time, but maybe if you need a little bit more control with enough accuracy, and also it's a defense-based champion, so the more defense you put on him, well, defense-based for this, I don't know why they do this. This is attack-based, but then this is defense-based. I mean, I guess it's cool because it can hit harder if he's got more defense, and he does have a lot of defense already. So, yeah, I would, if you need like a little tank-type champion, if you need someone that can try to control the enemy a little bit, especially in dungeons, maybe you need a better aura for dungeons. That I showed you in the last video with the free-to-play account. All I did was switch the aura for, I think it was the ice golem, from offensive to defensive, and it worked. It moved on. So that was my number 4, I guess, honorable mention. I'm going to take you to my number 3. So all right, so we got Gourmet. So to be honest with you, I think this guy's pretty good. I maybe should have included him in the actual top 5, the good, the most useful. Maybe he should have taken the place of Sorceress. I don't know, but he doesn't have any debuffs. So that's one of the reasons I didn't really... His aura is for arena only, but chances are that in arena you're going to use either a defensive aura, or like a defense aura, not a defensive. This is a defensive aura, but it's HP. Or you're going to want to use a speed aura or even an attack aura. Most of the time people don't use the HP auras, and even then you might have a better HP aura than this. It is already a good one. I mean, 25% in arena battles. There's, I think, Miscreated Monsters is like 30 something. I forget. But yeah, I don't know. I just to me, he's not the most useful thing about his skills is this: attacks one enemy will ignore shield and block damage buffs. So that's pretty cool. His ratings are pretty good, especially for the magic keep. I could definitely see this happening, and people have used him in arena offense. So you build him with attack, lifesteal, and crit rate. Yeah, he could. I think he probably hits really hard. I've never used him because I've had other champions that just do better stuff and better damage. And again, your starter champion will probably just do more damage than this guy. So I just don't think there's a point to really getting him. But if you're struggling with another like champion, maybe you need another champion that hits really hard, a single target maybe. This guy's your guy. So if you're annoyed by the block damage people, this guy's your guy. So just something to think about. You could totally farm him. All right, let me take you to my second pick for this. Okay, so Houndspawn. All right, Houndspawn is a champion that you can farm from like the last level of the campaign. I get so many of this guy because I always farm for silver in level 12-3 of Brutal. I always get him. I have like 20 of him or something. And he's pretty cool. Like he has this decreased defense debuff but it's only on one enemy, so he can help you in boss areas. He does not have very good ratings like anywhere, so that's why he's the reason he's my top two is just because of the decreased defense debuff that can be useful. Like I said, against bosses, he's got a possible stun on his A1, which is nice. And then he's got this AoE. Now, the reason I didn't include him in my top 5 list, like my first list that I gave you, is because this is useless. This will never be useful unless you have Hellfang. And Hellfang, you can't farm him. So it's fucking dumb. Like, why would they do that? So, I mean, the only way to get him is to get lucky with what's it called? A mystery shard, or, get him in one of the ancient shards. So, I don't know, and then he's got the same thing, only available when Houndspawn is on the same team. So some of those champions that have those skills like that, I don't really like them very much because it's like you have to have one or you have to have both, or you can't use their full potential. But it's like, what if you needed a better champion in the place of one of them? So, I mean, it's kind of cool when it's a better ability or something. But this, I've tried it and it's not that great. I mean, ignores defense and block damage buffs if the target has freeze. So this is so situational, and I just don't like it. It's situational because it will ignore defense and block damage if they also have freeze, which Hellfang is the one that does the AoE freeze, and then this is only even available if Hellfang is there. So that's why I was like, I'll put him in my honorable mentions because I think he's probably really tough. He's probably pretty like easy to gear up to do a lot of damage, but if you needed just another attacker or something, he could be useful, and a decreased defense on the boss, it would be useful, but I don't know. I don't see that much utility out of him. So I'll take you to my number one honorable mention that I think is the most useful out of all the honorable mentions, but less useful than the top 5 that I gave you originally. And that's actually going to be Valerie. So Valerie, I think she's probably in a lot of people's top 5, like the first top 5. Somebody might say that I could have put her in my original top 5 in place of Sorceress because Sorceress might not be that useful. But Valerie to me just was never really that useful, although she does have some useful skills. Like for me, it's all about this skill: increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Also decreases the duration of all debuffs, of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn. Places 25% increased attack buff on all allies. Now, for 2 turns. So, the reason I didn't include her in my original top 5, even though she's kind of hot, is because I feel like in the beginning, you're not going to have that many, like, buffers on your team. Like, if your starter is someone like Aethel, which it was for me, my starter was Aethel. She buffs herself, right? So she places increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns, places increased defense on this champion for 2 turns, and then if this current champion XP is less than 50% on that second one, I guess. and then gains an extra turn. So she buffs herself, and then she gains an extra turn, and then you can go into this one. That's usually what she does on auto, and has a 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. So you only need like 85% crit rate, and boom, every time this is always going to be critical. She was massive for my account. Like, I love this champion. And Valerie can boost these buffs up by 1 turn, right? But that's it. It's just this champion. You don't really have another. I mean, another one you get in the beginning is this one right here, War Priest. And she does have this places 25% increased attack buff on all allies. So that can be useful if you have War Priest go, Aethel go, and then Valerie goes, and then she'll boost up by 1 turn all of the buffs that we have. And then if War Priest is able to place her freeze, or if Aethel is able to place her weaken from her A1, then it'll what is it? Did it say increase the duration? Hold on, let me make sure I got that right. Oh no, it decreases the duration of all debuffs on us. So it doesn't matter. She won't increase the duration of all debuffs. So on them. So yeah, I mean, I just felt like she's not super useful. If you needed another support, she does have this like heal ability, but it's so dependent on other things. So like this shield ability, right? The value of the shield depends on this champion's level. I honestly have no fucking idea what that means. Like, I don't know what it means. Like, so what if she's a 6-star, like level 60? Does that mean her shield is gonna be like 6,000 or 60,000? Like, what is the shield gonna be? I don't really know what that means. Like, what is the level? How much shield does one level get you? You know, I don't know what that means. And then heals each ally according to the number of buffs that they are under. So, like I said, you're not going to have that many buffers in the beginning of the game. And she can be so easily replaced by, let's say, I mean, I don't think she's that easy to get, but she's an epic. This one right here, Sandlash Survivor, she does this. She increases, attacks all enemies, increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, decreases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. So this is super useful. I love it. And she's got this. This is a great champion. She's got more utility. But it's not about her. We're talking about this other chick. So yeah, but out of all the honorable mentions, I think that she's probably the best one. So if I would I farm for her? I would actually farm for this champion. She's, I know I kind of just talked shit about it, but she does have some utility. I mean, it's very situational, like I said. But if you happen to have someone that can buff a lot, then she'll heal everybody by, that many buffs. If you had Diabolist already and she does the increased speed, right? Everybody's going to have an increased speed, and then you have the War Priest lady, then she's going to have the increased attack. So people will heal, and then she already heals people too. Not a big heal, but it's a good one. So that's it, guys. That's my list on the most useful, the least useful to most useful top 5 champions, and then the least useful to most useful honorable mentions that I have for you. So I hope that helps somebody. I would try to farm some of those champions. Definitely War Maiden, definitely Diabolist if you don't have an Apothecary. Because that's the other thing I was going to mention is that Diabolist can be replaced easily by Apothecary, right? I mean, he's an amazing champion. I mentioned him a lot in this video. But yeah, so that's all I have for you guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.